What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Submission Fishing Live. My name is Muto. Happy New Year. Year's almost done, guys. Guys and girls, we're almost there. What, 2 more days? Glad everybody can be here. Let's see who we got in the house. TV Metal Art, number one. Oos, first one, first time. How'd you beat Cal? I don't see Cal in here yet. You must be partying already, getting ready for the New Year's smash. Spinning Rod Rebel Marvin. Oos, what's going on? Big Water Yak Fishing, welcome. Oos, what's going on? Oscar, welcome. Oos. Salty Dangler, what's going on, dude? Glad you could join us. Zachary Riggs, good evening, all. I'm excited to finally have a show to watch this week. Yeah, for some reason, I don't think I got the memo about the Wednesday show, but now that I think back at it, I do remember them saying something, but I was like waiting for it, and then I was like, oh yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a show. Oscar fell asleep. Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty tired, dude. I was in South Carolina for I think 5 days, 4 nights, something like that. So um, we've been out, with the time change and everything like that. You get used to it, and then you're 3 hours behind. And then when we flew back, we were just in the airline Armageddon. That's been throughout the whole country. We went on the way back. They sent us to Washington D.C., and then we had a 2 hour layover. Then they sent us to Chicago, Illinois, and then there was like another 2 hour layover before we flew back to San Diego. So they sent us like north and then more north. And then it was so out of the way. And then we sat in Chicago for like almost 2 hours on the runway because they couldn't get stuff. It was just like, it was chaos. They changed our flight like the night before. And then I think we got home Wednesday, like 1 o'clock or something, 1 p.m. So I'm definitely still recovering for sure. Trying to get my sleep pattern back down. But I woke up, Oscar, just for you guys. Graham, Oos, what's going on? Welcome. Peter 86, welcome. Fernando C, what's going on, man? Glad you could join us. SD Fisherman, welcome to the show. Glad to have you, man. Anybody sending the kayaks out tomorrow? I'm sure they'll let you know. Yeah, so I'll get right to it. I think we got a lot to go over today, so it's been a pretty eventful week. The New Year's coming up. So in the news, the things you just got to know: rock fishing is closed after tomorrow, so tomorrow's your last day to go rock fishing. Outside of that, it's going to be closed until March 1st. So if you're going to get it out of your system, tomorrow's the day. You got to get it done. And one of the bigger things that you cannot forget is this Saturday, you need to have your California fishing license. So I'll put a link in the show for you guys if you need the California fishing website. So there you go. I just renewed mine before the show started. Before I forget, because I could see myself going out there Saturday, Sunday, and totally not having it. So don't forget that, guys. Some of the changes for the fishing licenses, it's year round now. So even if you don't buy it on the first, people like us, we usually buy it on the first of the year, and it's good. For those of you that don't know, it used to be if you bought one even in June, like bought a year license in June, it was only good until December 30th or 31st, I should say. And then it expired. So now what they've done is made a 365-day pass. So if you do decide to buy one in June, at least it's good till next June. Mine happens to be up January 1st, obviously. So I just renewed it. So most of us that had gotten them last year, remember to renew it. So if you're going out fishing this weekend, you're going to have it because the time is up. And you got the link in there. So aside from that, that's really all we had news-wise. Nothing too eventful, I guess, which is a good thing. It's winding down. It's cold. Fishing getting slow. All those cities sound cold. Yeah, dude. It was when we went into when we landed in Chicago. It was snow on the ground for sure. South Carolina wasn't that bad. Where we were, Washington D.C., we just had a layover. We didn't really go out, but yeah, Chicago was pretty cold outside. Mark G, Oos, welcome. Glad you could join us. Doug Rubin, what's going on, man? Glad you can be here. Oh, Graham, you got sick of Christmas Day? Oh no, tested positive, got the Rona. Hopefully you're doing all right. You're on the show, so you can't be feeling that bad. Yeah, man, tons of people sick. I think that was what it was the largest. What was it, Christmas or the day after Christmas or something? It was like the largest day of like COVID infections or something like we'd have. So what do we expect? It seems normal in this day and age. But yeah, I feel great. We've been out, man. I flew on planes, went on 3 different planes, saw a bunch of family, 15 people in the same house. I've been waiting to get coronavirus for 2 years. Maybe this is the year. Maybe 2022 is the year I finally get it. See who else we got in here. Leonard Oos, welcome. Glad you could join us. Cave Dog, there you are. Man, we were wondering why you weren't first. I wasn't sure you were going to show up today. 5 minutes late. We'll take it. Let's see. I think that's everybody. You guys roll in. Yeah, Zach, you got your license yesterday. That's awesome. Yeah, so what we've got, some of the announcements. The guys are doing a practice Spotty Bowl run, I believe, on Saturday, and they're starting at I think 6 a.m., maybe 6:30 a.m. So if you guys are thinking about competing in the Spotty Bowl or any other spotted bay bass tournaments, they're doing a practice run this Saturday. A group of guys are going out, so yeah, I think that's good to do if you guys need the practice. If you haven't done Spotty Bowl before, or really any type of competition fishing, I recommend you go out there, learn from a lot of these guys, see what they're doing, and just get practice. It's I think they're having a little like a mini tournament. Submission Fishing is donating some stuff to the winner of the practice tournament too. So I don't know how much of a practice tournament it can be if you're winning prizes. Sounds like a real tournament to me, but I guess you don't have to pay. So that's the good thing. It's like a bonus Spotty will run. So we do have that going on, and then Sunday I think I'm going to go up and do. LA's having a Spotty tournament, and it's like the LA Fishing Alliance or something like that. And I was thinking about going up and doing it. The bad thing is it's on Sunday, and I have to leave here at like probably 3 in the morning to get up there in time. But I think it'd be pretty cool to do a tournament, like a cool YouTube video, because I've never fished in LA before in the bays, and it's right there in the bays. I think it'd be cool to go in there kind of just blind and see how I do, see if I can compete or do well, or maybe I skunk out and don't find anything. Put some of my knowledge or just put into practice some of the things we teach here and just see how we do. I think that'd be pretty fun. So I think I'm going to do that. If any of you guys want to roll up there, I mean, that'd be cool too. I know it's kind of a weird time, so that'd be cool. Get some San Diego boys up there. Go see if we can show up. It's so balls. What's going on? Welcome. How's it? It's good, man. Yeah. So with the, I want to do a little spotty deep dive here. Later on the show, we're going to have Big Water come on and talk to us how he fell over his kayak, give us his kind of some safety tips and lessons, and hear a little bit of his story and things we can learn. And he fell over on a winter day, so I think we're all interested in hearing about that. Mark G, I'm sure, can chime in. He was there with him. But before that, we're going to talk about. I want to do a little deep dive into spotties. We all talk about spotty fishing. If you guys want, watch Fishy Hour on Roman Castro's channel. Him and Brian do basically a show specific to bay bass fishing every Wednesday. This show is more generalized. We talk offshore fishing or bay fishing. I'm into all kinds of fishing, so we don't have like a specific repertoire. But with the Spotty Bowl coming up, I do want to talk a little bit about spotties. So I'm going to send you guys a link, and this is where I got most of my information. This was actually, hopefully it comes through. And I don't know if that link went through too well, but there was basically a study in 1995 where a bunch of scientists did let me pull it up here, share my screen. Where there was a study right here in 1995, and this is where I got most of my information. So I just mostly picked out some of the highlights and stuff. And this is a whole spotted bay bass study. This whole thing is about spotted bay bass. It's got size, reproduction history, diet, really the whole shebang. So if you want to cross-reference or check some of the stuff that I'm talking about, this is where I've got it all from. I found this on the internet. I've been reading it. I found it a couple months ago, and I've just been kind of reading it on and off. So we're just going to hit some of the highlights. stuff like that. And then we'll go into some of the winter fishing, um, stuff like that. But I just want you guys to have the reference point, what I'm looking for. So I'm trying not to pull so much of it out of my own ass, like my own opinion. But a lot of this, some of it will be my opinion, but a lot of it is actual the scientific knowledge that they did this study. And I think it was over, I think 2 years. It was like 600 something fish that they examined, um, sex and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's do a little deep dive into spotties. I know you guys got some great spotty knowledge too. So if you guys are new here, check out the chat, ask these guys what's going on, and they'll definitely get you some info. The spotted bay bass, it's a bass that is from Central California. It's not even that prevalent in Central California, but it goes from Central California down to Baja, Mexico. It's kind of like a subtropical fish that moved in. This is actually the only place in the world where we have the fish. It's Baja, California, and then California South Central and down. Here in Southern California, it's kind of our primary fish. It's like a smaller bass. We have the calico bass, the barred sand bass, and then the spotted bay bass. And some of the interesting things is that the spotted bay bass is actually, it's the shortest lived of all of the bass, but it's the fastest growing. So it's grows faster than the kelp bass or the calico bass, and it grows faster than the barred sand bass, but it also dies quicker too. In some cases, I think the calico bass lived to 33 years old, and the barred sand bass was like 25, but they were saying the spotted bay bass, lifespan really only about 14 years. So it's half in some of those cases. And when you're looking for references, guys, also look up spotted sand bass, because that's actually technically what it's called. We call it the spotted bay bass, but if you're looking for references, type in spotted sand bass. And I think we lost a little bit in that name because we call it the spotted bay bass. But when you refer to it, the spotted sand bass, it kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking for, and that they live in the sand, and it's in the name. We kind of got away from that. When you're looking for a barred sand bass, like, you already know, it's obvious. You're like, oh, they're in the sand, they're in the bottom. But really, the spotted sand bass is what they're called, as they live in the sand. They're a bottom fish. They're a bottom dwelling fish. They don't really come up to the surface to feed. They're usually looking for stuff on the bottom, and fish like that. So just remember that name, especially when you're looking for references. It's really good. So the one thing about the spotted bay bass is, especially that the thing found, is that the ones that have the yellow chin are typically the females. And as they get older, they found the yellow chin. But something that was interesting that the study was pointing out was that that's not always the case, and that some of the younger ones, or the smaller fish that had the yellow chins, were actually found to be males. So it's not always a female thing. Usually when they get about over 12 inches, they're almost always females. So it's pretty good bet that when they reach a certain size, they are females. But they did find males with the yellow chin and underside as well. So if you catch one of the smaller ones, it's still likely a female, but that's not always the case. And I know that was some, debate as to whether they were male or female. So pretty much they are, but not always. I know it's not really too relevant. We're catching them, but it's just to know the bigger thing. And then one of the interesting things that I found, let me see if I can pull it up here, was based on their diet. So there was one study here. Let's see if we can find it here. So everything they caught was on the artificial lures, stuff like that. And then the size, let's see here. This was one of the more interesting things that I saw. Yeah, this is a great reference, those guys. Yeah, so the food habit. So in 1992, it was listed that small fish, cephalopods, and crustaceans is a major prey item of the spotted bay bass. This characterization of diet seems to be an error. So somebody had listed that. I guess Ono in 92. I don't know who that is. But their study represents the most comprehensive sample ever taken of the spotted bay bass in their normal habitats. The results clearly shows that crabs, clams, in particular jackknife clams, or the razor clams, what we're called, dominate the diet of the spotted bay bass from Southern California waters. how the spotted bay bass actually captured the jackknife clams remains a mystery, since most of these clams are buried 15 to 18 centimeters deep in the mud. Fish form a relatively small component of the spotted bay bass diet, especially when compared to two other species. That's the sand bass and then the calico bass in Southern California. And that's interesting because, I always thought that the spotted bay bass kind of had like small fish in their diet. How many of the lures that we use replicate fish, or bait fish or dying bait fish? I use the slow pitch jigs, and that's their whole thing is um, catching the spotted bay bass with like a dying bait fish. But it's interesting is that almost their entire diet is based on crustaceans and razor clams. I know a lot of you guys knew that, but I didn't know that that was really their primary diet. And something else that was interesting was that they found when they opened them up that they were actually eating them whole. So the big fish were swallowing the entire razor clams. They don't chew them up. They don't smash them up. They just eat them whole, and then their digestive system breaks down the entire clam like as it is. I thought, which was super fascinating, and that just puts the nail in the coffin of how deep that they actually go. That they sit on the bottom. These clams don't even come up. They don't even know how they get them. So they're somehow getting clams that are buried. I don't know if they wait for them to come up or anything, but we're over here using lures that are for fish, but if you're not using artificial lures, I mean, obviously the way to go is to be some sort of shellfish and stuff like that. So I just thought that was interesting that they're not really eating fish. That's not really on their diet. What's funny, when you put lures down, they'll pretty much eat anything. Like, it doesn't matter. It seems like you can put shrimp down, you can put fish down, and they'll eat it. But out in the wild, that's not what they're eating on. And then and then another interesting thing in the study was that basically the bay bass, they congregate based on size. So what they found was that the larger ones congregate together, and this will be important for later when I go over like how we want to catch them. So the large ones congregate together and the small ones congregate together. So they're not really intermingled all that much. There's some intermingling, but typically the large ones are together and then the small ones are together. So that's important when you're looking for the fish. When you're finding this, that's when you hear a lot of us talk about um, when you find one, there's probably more. So when you find one large one, that's a good sign. You want to keep fishing there because they're known to congregate, and they congregate within their own sizes. And that was in study in the report. So when you catch a large fish, keep fishing that same area. Don't abandon it. Don't go somewhere else. Because if you're catching small, say you catch two small, three fish, um, they congregate together. That's why you're going to keep pulling out small ones. The likelihood of getting illegal or something big, chances aren't that good. But when you catch that hog, you catch that 14 inch or plus, keep hammering that spot. And I found that to be true, during Spotty Bowl, is that the big ones, once I found where the big ones were, the big ones are kind of there all the time. And not all the time. Sometimes they don't eat, but when I do catch the fish there, they're typically always large. There's like certain spots that I have where it's like, I almost guarantee it, I'm going to get a 14 plus out of it. Whether that I get one there or not may or may not happen, but when I do, they're typically not small. They are the larger fish for sure. So they congregate. Who had the maximum lifespan is 14 years. Most live up to 10 years, so they don't live that long. They're really a fast growing fish, so they get up to maturity and they grow up really large. That's why you don't find them really smaller than 8 inches. 8 inches is kind of like the smallest fish. So they get to 8 quick, and then they get to 10 pretty quick, and then they start slowing down once they hit 12, and then 12 to 14. So like that 12 to 14 range, once they hit legal, they're pretty old. I mean, they're almost already, they're kind of at their age. If 10 years is the average span and 14 is kind of the maximum, those 14 plus fish are probably already, 10 years old on the cusp. So they don't last, as long as they thought they did. And then another important thing to remember for later on is that they spawn in May and June. So just remember that when the water is above 70 degrees, they spawn in May and June. So that leads us to, what does that mean? So we're fishing in the winter. What does that mean for us? Well, what that means is basically that you have two opportunities to catch spotties. And there's two ways to catch spotties. Now, this is kind of my opinion coming in here a little bit, is you can go spotty fishing, or you can fish for big spotted bait bass. And the two are completely different things. just fishing for spotted bay bass is one thing. You can go out and catch the small ones. You can go up and get them in the grass, or you can catch big spotties. Since we know that they congregate in different places, we're going to have basically two different things. So you can catch spotties if you want, or you can catch big spotties, and it's kind of two different games. And one of the things you have to remember in the winter, we'll go in a little deep dive here. So when winter comes around, like we are now, and we have the cold water, the large spotted bay bass, well, they congregate together. The problem is that they don't really eat, and they don't get that hungry. So when the larger bay bass, they kind of go into a like a hibernated state, so to speak. They do eat, but they don't eat that much, and they're not that active of feeders. And conversely, the smaller ones, the smaller spotted bay bass, they have to eat. So they eat all the time. They're still growing, even in the winter. When the winter comes around, they're a little more lethargic because the water gets cold, but they have to eat. And the smaller ones get pushed out into the eelgrass. So the large ones congregate together, and typically they go and find shelter. So if you want to find the big ones, the docks usually in the winter is your place to go. Go to the docks, go to the pilings, go to a place where the current is kind of protected, and they kind of go and hide. And the reason why they're so hard to catch, those of you guys that know in the winter, you think, why is it? We fish all winter, you guys fish all winter, and what happens? Well, during Spotty Bowl last year, everybody nobody hardly ever caught legal fish. It was like if you caught one legal or two legals, like you were in pretty good position to be in the top three. And the reason that is because the big spotties, they just don't eat, unfortunately. So the little ones are constantly eating. Now, it's not that they're not there. They don't go anywhere. They don't migrate. They do macro movements where they'll move, from certain parts of the bay or from the grass, maybe into the docks and stuff like that. But they don't leave. They don't migrate. They don't leave the bays. They're still in there. So the big ones that we were catching in the summer, they still exist. But the biggest problem is, and the hardest thing is that literally they just kind of stop eating. They're not as hungry. They're preserving their energy. They're old at this point. You guys got to remember, the fish that are over 14 years old, these are old fish. They're almost on their way out. Maybe only got a couple years to live, and then they wait for the spawning season. So the big ones kick it. They go into the docks, but they do congregate together. So that's why once you find one, you just got to keep hammering that area. When you're out in the eelgrass, the smaller ones get pushed out, and this was in the study too, is because they can't. They forage eat. They can't eat the bigger clams. So what they do is they go out into the eelgrass and then they forage. So like you can go out to tidelands just outside the skirt there, even in winter, and you can probably catch 40, 50 fish, like no problem. But everything you catch is going to be probably 8 inches, 10 inches. You're not going to find a legal in there. The legals, they take off. The big old ones, they go into kind of hibernation mode, and then they rest. So it's not to say you can't get them. When we did the DFA tournament, I caught a 15 and I think like 3 or 4 14s. So they are out there, but it's a lot slower. And the docks is the place to go. They go in a little deeper. They go in where it's a little more sheltered and it's a little more warm. They just want to kick it. They're not out there trying to swim around. They're not out there trying to eat. They're just out there trying to rest. And then when May and June comes, you notice it changes because it's spawning season. Once that water hits 70 degrees and they start spawning, well, then they move out. And not only that, they start eating because now they've hibernated. It's not a hibernation. I shouldn't say hibernated. They've basically been conserving their energy all through the winter. They eat when they need to, and that's about it. They're not going to exert a lot of energy. But then when the summer comes and spawning season comes in May and June, well, now it's on. They're super hungry. So that's why when the water changes, all of a sudden everybody's catching legals, right? Summer comes around and it's like, if you don't have 5 legals in like the first hour, like it seems like you're doing something wrong. They're biting left and right. You're getting legals like crazy. And that's because they're eating at this point. They didn't leave the same fish, but now they're starting to get hungry. So that's why May and June, the game changes. So it goes from structure and docks to now they're in the grass. Now they're spawning. So they leave to spawn. So May and June, they're looking for mates. So they're all over the place. They're all over the bays. You can find them in the grass. And at this point, they're ambush hunters, but they're also predators. They're looking for fish. They're looking for food. And now they're contending with the smaller ones. That's why you can find big ones in eelgrass and everything else as it starts to warm up. Just let me check my notes. Yeah, so they're in the warmer docks. The smaller ones are foraging in grass. Just because they don't need to eat. So my advice for the winter, and we can recycle it for the summer, but I would check out the docks. That's where I had success in the last um, tournament we did. I caught, I think I was only one of three people in the 40 something that was able to catch a 15 incher. And that was in the docks. Hit the docks, you got to hit it hard. And then that leads you to the next thing would be like, how do you catch them, right? You know where to catch them, but then how do you catch them? And this is really just comes into angler and kind of preference of what you want. So there's really two types of fishing. You've got finesse fishing and you've got power fishing. And I know last year Uncle Dan won the first round of Spotty Boy, I believe, from the shore, and he's a big time finesse fisherman. Finesse fishing is mostly um, it's smaller line, it's softer worms, smaller baits, and it's a more targeted thing. You're using kind of an artificial bait, drop shot, Ned rig, um, Texas rig, and you're using this is where I think fluorocarbon line really comes into play. And with finesse fishing, it's really slow. You're putting a presentation in front of the fish, but what you want to do is leave it there to kind of entice a bite. The fish sees it, you're fishing it slow, you're bouncing it, you're trying to lure the fish in, where it sees it. But so that's where you don't want the line to be seen. That's where fluorocarbon really comes in, and you're trying to entice the fish out very slow. They're going to move slow, and that's where you're really trying to entice a bite. And then you have power fishing. Power fishing it's really just a faster version. Um, you're using heavier lures. You're fishing faster. Basically, you're casting and reeling. Power fishing would be the A rig for sure. Slow pitch jigging, I would say, is power fishing definitely, where you're just hitting docks back and forth. Um, and basically, you're putting a presentation in fast. Like it's just speed is the name of the game. You want to hit as many docks as you can. You're not trying to entice a fish. You're trying to get a reaction bite out of the fish. Where when I'm doing the jigging, I'm hitting each pylon just bam, bam, 5 times each one, but I'm not stopping. I'm hitting each and every one. I'm just going down, dropping jigs like crazy. And I think that would be considered power fishing. You can do it with probably the underspin. Like I said, a rig is probably power fishing. So when it comes to the fishing style, that's up to you. I think a lot of people would say finesse fishing is the way to go in the winter. I power fish in the winter, and it seems to work for me. I don't think there's really a wrong way. I think you just have to kind of know what the two styles are, and then decide which one that you want to do for the situation. I mean, that's at hand. I know that's not great advice, but there really is no secret, guys, to actually, catching the fish. I know the A rig does really well in the summer, but I've had success with it in the winter. And you can fish A rig slow, and you can fish like the cool baits underspin slow too. So um, just because something's power fishing and finesse fishing, that doesn't mean you can't finesse fish in A rig and you can't finesse fish um, an underspin. That also doesn't mean that you can't power fish a Ned rig and a Texas rig, because you actually can. You can fire a Ned rig on each dock, and you can pop it, reel it as you're coming in, and make it a much more powerful thing where you're just hitting the dock. So that's just what they're typically used for, but that doesn't mean you can't switch. So really, finesse fishing and power fishing, it's more style than it is lures and baits, but those are just some of the baits and styles that are kind of associated with those two styles. Um, yeah, so with the winter bite coming up, I mean, hopefully, I would recommend you guys read that study for sure. I learned a lot from it. It tells you like what growth rates. What's interesting though is that it was published in 1995, and it was saying that there was like lots of pressure on the spotted bay bass. So they did. They only found, I think, out of like the 600 fish, they had like one fish that was illegal or something like that. So it was like 13 inches, and most of them were in like that 12 to kind of 8-inch range. Um, so I think what happened. I think the study has changed since then. Nobody really eats spotted bay bass anymore. I think people were eating them a lot kind of back in the 90s when the boom happened. People kind of found out about them, and it started becoming like a sport fish. Over the years, nobody really eats the spotted bay bass. Most people throw them out, and then not throw them out, but they send them back. But not only that, the regulation has changed, so it's gone from 12 inches to 14 inches. And I think that's shown. It's still hard to catch illegal, but it's not uncommon for, I think, at the end of summer in Spotty Bowl, everybody was putting in 5 fish legals, during the summer. So in this study, out of their 600, I don't even know if they had a 14. You can check up the chart, but I was looking at the millimeters and I was like, that's not even a 14-inch fish. And they caught like 2 that were maybe 13 inches. So I think in the 90s, they hit them hard. And I think a lot of people were eating them. So it's really come back. I know Brian was saying, you guys check out Brian Likes to Fish, that back in the 70s, 80s, it was like 17 inches were just everywhere. I think nobody was really fishing for them. But got hot in the 90s. They kind of got smashed hard, and then it's starting to come back a little bit, just because nobody's eating them. So just remember that with the study. It was a while ago. It was in 90s. I think like 95 or 90 through 92 to 95, I think was when the study was. But yeah, you definitely check it out. It's got like temperature charts. It's got when they eat, what they eat, um, how they breed. I mean, all that good stuff. So definitely recommend check it out. So the short version is, I would hit the dock spot reel for the winter. That's my suggestion. Take it or leave it for what it's worth. I can't really tell you what to fish for. I throw the jigs all year, the slow pitch jigs. Um, I've had luck with them. I went out last week before I went out to South Carolina. Caught some on the Ned rig, like the Savage Gear Salamander, but I was also slaying them on the slow pitch jigs. It was a slow day, and I was getting them on both. So I think go with what you know, go with what you're comfortable with. A rig is money. I would learn the A rig. That's kind of the risk reward. Like um, the Spotties might take a chance on going after a school. If you're putting one small bait in front of them, they might not want to go out and get it. They're not going to waste the energy to burn it out to go for one little fish. But when they see the A rig, they think it's 6 fish. They think it's a school because they eat multiple fish. They're not going to go there to just eat one. If they see an A rig going by and they think it's a school of fish, their intention is to go there and eat like 4 or 5 of those fish. So you have to remember that. Of course, all you need is have them bite one and bite the hook. So A rig was money. A rig was money throughout. You can A rig with cool baits on there. There's all kinds of difference there. If you're kind of new and learning and you're going into the Spotty Bowl, I'd look into the A rig definitely. I think it was kind of a bulletproof all around bait, and give it a shot, guys. I got some questions here, so we'll find them. Hopefully, you guys learned something there. I know we've talked Spotties all the time, so hopefully I brought some enrichment to your Spotty lives. Question, Fernando C. Do you know if the year license purchase regs have changed? I don't think so. It looked like they were all the same. When I bought mine, if you're asking the license purchase regulations, it looks the same. There was nothing different. You put in your Go ID, the one that you had from last year, and it was fine. And everything came up. I brought up all my information from last year. So nothing as far as that goes. The money looked like it was the same cost and everything. When you guys get it, you do need if you're watching this and you do in Southern California, just for our reference, and you're doing saltwater, you do need the saltwater sport fishing add-on. You can get the 2-rod add-on. And just to be clear, that is only for freshwater, guys. You don't need that for saltwater. You can fish as many rods as you want. And well, not rockfish. There are regulations to it, but like if you're surf fishing or something, you do not need the double rod addition to that. That is only for freshwater lakes and stuff like that. I get it personally, just because like the handful of times I go to lakes and fish, I like to be able to have 2 rods and throw it. I put everything on my license so I don't have to worry about it. But if you're not ever doing freshwater fishing, you don't have to worry about that one. Let's see here. Spinning Rod Rebel, Marvin, do saltwater fish get lethargic like freshwater bass? Yes, dude, they do. Absolutely. I don't know if any of you guys are answering these in the chat, so I might be redundant on some of these questions, but yes, they do. There's only a handful of warm water fish out there. Everything else is cold blooded, not warm water, warm blooded fish. Most fish are cold blooded. So yeah, they're affected just like reptiles. When it's colder, they physically can't move as fast. They just want to kick it. They don't even have the energy. The blood's not pumping, so their body changes to the surrounding water around them. So the colder it gets, the harder it gets for sure. When that water starts dropping, it's like they just straight up don't want to eat sometimes. So yeah, absolutely with that. Just got my new fishing license. New regulations coming. Yeah, only 4 reds now. Doug Rubin. Yeah, I know you texted me about that earlier. I looked on the I don't think their page is updated because I looked up California's site and it still had the 5 vermilion. He's talking about the for millions. Last year it was 5. I know he's saying it's going to 4. Their website still says 5, but I don't know if they're going to change that or what. Got some shout outs. Dave Rage, what's going on, man? Mr. Cheto, welcome. Glad you're here. Good to see you. Fernando, yeah, Spring Rebel, we got the Sand Dog Kayak Adventures. What's going on, man? Glad you could join us. Check him out. He's got a YouTube channel too. I see you out there, and half the time when I'm launching at a Kellogg, I see you out there a lot. And La Jolla, I saw you out there in La Jolla a couple years too. So awesome. Down in SD, welcome. Consider the logic. Hyder, what's going on, dude? Glad you're here. Worf TV, the man, the myth, the legend, the coach in the house. Welcome, Coach Worf. Let's get another question from Mike. More on how does smelt spawn affect the spotties? I'm not sure. I don't have that answer. I don't know. But like I was saying, the spotties don't really eat the fish. They do eat fish, but it's not, I don't think it affects them that much, to be honest with you, just based on what the study was saying. They're primarily shellfish eaters. They will eat the fish, obviously, because they eat A-rigs and they eat slow pitch jigs, which are imitating bait fish. So they do eat them, but I don't know the correlation. The study might have that in there, so I definitely would check that out. Kiwi Reacts, what's going on, dude? Welcome. Unicorn Theory, welcome to the show. Glad to see you again. Shout out Lost Horizon Fishing. Hey, another YouTuber. What's going on, man? I watched a lot of your videos. Glad you can join us. Good stuff. Sand Dog Adventures. Thanks. I've been watching submission fishing. Dude, be going to La Jolla when it's freezing. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm just catching up on some of this stuff. Yeah, dude. I've been trying. I was like, oh, I'm not a La Jolla guy, but I got some waders, so I'm out there trying to get it done. I mean, what else am I going to do? Got to mix it up, man. Got to get that YouTube gold, right? You got to do those adventures nobody else is willing to do. Question. Eric Lehman. Do you need the enhancement if you're not keeping anything and only fishing in the bays? Yeah, you still do. It's saltwater, Eric. So it's a saltwater enhancement. Basically, your license covers kind of like fishing, but I think if you're sport fishing, I would just get it. Especially if you're going to go on a boat. I mean, you're going to need it for sure. All right, guys. So hopefully you got some spotting knowledge there. And hopefully it added to the story. Right now, we're going to bring in Big Water Yak Fishing. He's going to tell his tale. And he had a little bit of a situation out there a couple weeks ago. I know Mark G's in the chat. Kiwi Reacts, get hyped whenever Lost Horizon drops a new video. There you go, man. That's awesome. Good stuff. So we're going to bring him in, and we're going to talk some safety. What's going on? Can you hear me?
Hey, Mito.
What's going on, dude?
Not much.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to Submission Fishing Live. Glad we can have you.
Thanks.
So tell us what happened. Tell us the
Uh,
day, kind of what you were doing, and set the
it's
stage
all
for us.
Mark's fault.
Mark G.
He decided to drop down one of those, I think it's the Tanomi jig,
So where were you guys? Let's Where'd you guys go
to
fishing?
about 2 miles off of the jetty out of Mission Bay.
Okay. So you went, group of guys went fishing, went on Mission Bay. So you went out the jetty and then
Yep.
headed south, right? Okay.
No, we were going straight west. We hadn't headed
Oh, so
south
you
yet.
guys just went deep. Okay.
We were going to go deep for rockfish.
Cool.
Mark dropped down his Tanomi jig and hooked up a sheep's head.
Oh, nice.
And so I got a nice picture of him with the sheep's head, and then he let it go. But I guess he brought it up too fast because it didn't go back down. I saw it was floating.
Right.
So I pedaled over and picked it up in my net. And I tried to hook on a 130-gram flat fall, just barely in the lip to send it back down and then try and yank it to pull it out.
Kind of descend it. Yeah.
Well, that didn't work and it ended up just hooking it more. So when I reeled it back up, it wasn't really kicking all that much. I've never caught or kept a sheep's head before, so Mark said I could keep it, so I was putting it in my kill bag. But the way my kill bag works is it opens from the front towards the back, then across the kayak. So as I was trying to zip it back up, I was leaning forward into the left of the kayak, and I ended up falling out.
Oh man. What kind of kayak do you have?
I have a Old Town Big Water 132 PDL.
Interesting. So did your head go over, or how did the Do you even
I
remember what happened?
I don't really remember what happened. I know the front of the kayak gets a little wobbly because it's a little bit narrower in the front. So I'm assuming when I was reaching forward to push the zipper all the way up, I leaned too far to the left and I just went over.
Oh, that's crazy. And
Yep.
how long have you been kayak fishing?
Kayak
Or just
fishing
kayaking? How long have
probably
you been kayaking?
2 or 3 years, but I've been on kayak since I was 2 years old.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted people to know. So, you're not a rookie. You're not a
No,
rookie kayaker.
with
He's been
with
kayaking way
kayaking,
longer than I have.
with
Since
kayaking, it's not if you're gonna fall in, it's a win.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna happen.
yeah. So he's been kayaking a long time, guys. It's not like it was your first time out or anything. I know we've gone out before, so I know it wasn't your first time.
Yeah.
And did your kayak roll the first time or no?
No, it
So
did
your
not.
kayak, so you went out and the kayak stayed up.
Once I noticed I was starting to roll or fall out, I kind of pushed myself off so that way I wouldn't flip the whole kayak.
Interesting. Yeah. I know down in SD is talking about just like a PJJ, where your head goes, the body goes, and
Yep.
he's absolutely right. And that goes for anything. When you're doing weightlifting, if you're squatting and your head starts going over your knees, you're going to go forward. In
Yep.
jujitsu, or if you guys watch like mixed martial arts, if you ever see when they're getting up, they're pushing the person's head down because they can't get up, just forcing the head down, or when they control the neck, wherever the head goes, the body mass, it tends to follow. So that's, I think, one of the bigger things to stay on the kayak, guys, is keep your center of gravity. Like if this is my seat, I always turn like this, right? Like I stay vertical and then I reach over the back. Like I never go over the side and reach over the things. Whenever you move, you want to keep your head kind of up as possible, and you turn your body and you twist around. You do one of these, right, and reach over because you want to keep your center line up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
you
one of the
flipped.
things I miss about the old kayaks where your butt's in the bottom of the kayak. Your
Yeah.
center of gravity is a lot lower.
Yeah, that's true because you're high on these things. So you went in, your
Yep.
kayak stayed up, it didn't
Kayak
roll.
stayed up.
And how long were you in? Or so what happened? Did you have your
So
life jacket on?
I always wear my PFD.
Okay.
Um,
Awesome.
when I fell in, it was like, oh crap, like I'm in the water. I'm not supposed to be here. I should still be in the kayak. This is cold.
Right. That's a shock.
Because
Yeah. And this
Mark
is
was
winter,
saying,
guys. This was recently.
Mark was saying the water was like 56 to 58 degrees.
56. Yeah.
Um, I was wearing like one of those deck boots that you see, like the deck hands or what you guys would wear on the sport boats. Take those off immediately when you get in the water because they make it hard to get back in because they will hold water,
Right.
which is one of the arguments against the waders when you fall in. They're going to hold all the water. You're not going to be able to
Getting
pull
when you get
yourself
back
out.
in. Yeah.
But so I tried getting back in. Well, first Mark came over and he held my kayak so it wouldn't drift away from him because he was right there with me. Um, I had a VHF radio, but I did not have it strapped to myself. I had it clipped to my life jacket. As soon as I went in the water, it floats. So it floated off of my life jacket and started floating away. So it's probably in La Jolla somewhere now.
Oh, so you didn't get the radio back.
I didn't get the radio back.
Radio's gone. So
Radio's
floating
gone.
radio, no good because it wasn't attached.
Yep.
That's interesting.
Uh,
So that's a good reminder, guys. Remember, it doesn't do you any good if you can't get to it. So, although
yes.
I would think strapping it to your chest wouldn't be the worst idea. I mean,
Well, see, I
I
had
feel like
the
that's not a
clip
bad place to
on,
have it,
but I didn't have like a leash tied to it. So it came off of my vest when I went in the water.
but it was clipped though too, right?
It's just one of those little cheap clips that like it would clip to your pants. So like the force of me going in with how buoyant it is, it just slips off.
Okay, so it wasn't like a heavy duty,
No,
not like
it
one of those heavy ones. Okay,
no, it's a cheap clip.
okay.
Uh,
So we lost the radio.
we
You're in the
lost the
water.
radio.
It's cold.
It's cold.
And so then what happens? The guys are
Uh,
trying to get you in. Who was it? Oscar and Mark G.
yeah, it was Oscar and Mark G. Uh, Mark pulled up next. So my kayak's right here. He pulled up on this side and was holding the left side of my kayak. So that way, when I tried to get in, I was getting in from the right side. So it was going to roll to the right. So he was putting pressure on the left to try and keep it balanced. Um, I think part of my life jacket was catching on the gunnel of the kayak because I couldn't get the pockets of my life jacket up and over.
Right, right.
Mark threw me a rope, and after struggling for a while, I was able to get where the kayak is like this, and I'm over the top. And I was sitting there. my I had my sunglasses on and they were half askewed on my face, so I had to take them off and I set them on the deck. I had Oscar come around and unclip my fish finder. It has a quick disconnect on the Yak Attack mount. I had him just stick it on the deck so I could swing my legs over. And as I was swinging my legs over, I had swung my legs over, and as I was trying to get back in the seat, I guess I leaned too far to the left again, and the whole kayak went over. I lost another rod.
So at this point, so you made it in,
I
but then
made
the
it in,
kayak rolled.
and then the kayak rolled as I was trying to get back in the seat.
How long do you think you were in the water at this point?
At that point,
How many minutes?
probably 30 minutes.
So you're already in 30 minutes. You get
Yes.
in and then it rolls.
And then it rolls, and I'm exhausted at this point.
Yeah.
Um, so I lose a $80 reel, $130 rod with a $25 Nomad lure on it. Just goes over the side because I didn't have it leashed.
And
Uh, when it rolled, my flag stayed parallel with the water, so it kind of caught my crate, and I was able to get my arm underneath the rods in my crate. So I only ended up losing one rod. Um, but I lost my glasses, I lost my boots, I lost both my spools of leader. Um, and then Mark decided to call Coast Guard, let them know where we were, and had lifeguards come pick me up out of Mission Bay.
how long did it take them to get to you?
I think it was like another maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Mark was telling me he was checking the call log from when he first called Oscar to tell Oscar to come back because Oscar had gotten a little bit ahead of us. And when he called his wife last to let him know that they had gotten me or whatever, it like an hour had lapsed. So I was in the
Interesting.
water for probably about an hour at
So you were
56
in
to
an
58
hour,
degrees.
56-degree water for about an
Yep.
hour. That's crazy. So how were you feeling? I mean, did you feel cold? Did you feel like you were going to lose consciousness? I mean,
It
did you realize it, or did you feel
My
okay? Kind of
fingers were getting cold, but I wasn't shivering, and I couldn't
interesting.
remember if shivering was a good sign or a bad sign. And then Oscar and Mark just kept asking like, "How are you feeling? Are you okay? Like, how are you feeling?" Because I knew they were trying to check to see if hypothermia was
Sure, sure.
setting in or not. But I
So
just
how did the rescue go? Did they? How did the
not
lifeguard come in? They in like a little dinghy or?
no, they were in their lifeguard boats that you see in Mission Bay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And they're pretty close by too. Yeah.
they're pretty close by. They had a ladder, but their ladder was half broken, so they had to, like tie it off on one side.
Oh
I'm
my
not a
gosh.
light guy. When I got on the first rung, the other half broke. So then we had to like figure out how to tie a rope to their top to kind of make a footrest to get me over because I was dead. My arms were dead. They felt like
Yeah. I
jello.
mean, you exhausted so much just trying to get in. That's crazy.
When I finally got into their boat, I started stripping off my hoodie. I took off my sun shirt just to try and get warm, get all the wet clothes off. Mark gave me his hoodie, but I swear when I picked up my hoodie that I was wearing, that thing weighed like 30 pounds.
Yeah. Just
Like
soaked.
hoodies and water
Yeah.
don't mix.
Right. That cotton just soaked it up. That's
Yeah.
crazy. What do they do with the kayak? Just tow it back, or do one of the
Yeah.
guys bring it back?
I I don't know if you'd call it foresight, but I had probably 50 feet of rope that I tied into the molded in handle in the front of the kayak.
Oh,
I have
nice.
that on my kayak and my wife's kayak in case she gets tired. I need to tow her in, or for whatever reason, we need to tow my kayak. So I already had a rope on my kayak, so they just towed me and my stuff in.
Nice. And did they do like you get like your vitals checked, all that stuff when they were taking
No,
you in?
they didn't check
Oh,
any of
really?
that.
Interesting.
And
They're just like, "You okay?"
yeah, and he
Wow,
tried
that's
looking
interesting.
for a blanket to give me. We didn't have any blankets on the boat. So
That's
underneath my
crazy.
kayak pants, I had
I wouldn't expect them to be so unprepared, to be honest with you. I mean,
yeah, it was a little shocking to me, but it's like I was
you know,
also really
that's really weird.
exhausted and tired, and
Yeah,
I
at
wasn't
least
complaining.
you were out.
Um, but I had a pair of like Walmart's brand of Under Armour leggings, and so I had taken my kayak pants off, and I was sitting on the deck with my legs as much in the sun as possible, trying to use the heat or the sun and the black clothing to like heat me up as quick as possible.
Interesting. And then your wife came, brought you a change of clothes, got the kayak
No,
back.
she was actually getting off work at 7 a.m. and I think I fell in the water about 9. I got back to the dock around 10, so she was asleep. I also lost the key to my truck or my dad's truck, so I had to have my mom come
Oh, we
down
just did
with
it
the
go over in the
spare.
kayak.
Well, because my stupid butt forgot to put it in the PDL drive. It has a little dry hatch.
Right.
I forgot to put it in there. Like I had my wallet and my AirPods and everything else in there, but I forgot to put the key in there. So she came down with the key. My father-in-law and mother-in-law came down with a change of clothes for me. So by the time I got the dock, like 5 minutes later, they rolled up.
Man, that's a wild story.
Yeah,
So then how do you feel like after the fact the next day, or did you
I
get
couldn't wait
sick,
to get
or
back on the water. Like
yeah.
I was
But you
gonna let
felt
this
good?
keep me from. Yeah, like I was sore. Like underneath my arms were kind of bruised.
Right.
My abs were sore, but no, I wanted to get back on the water as soon as possible because I wasn't gonna let this like scare me from getting back on the kayak. It's not the
Sure.
first time I've fallen in. I've fallen in a time before.
That's crazy. So the most important question, did you skunk before you went in or did you catch a fish?
No, I actually caught 2 fish
There
on the
you go.
slow pitch jig. It was a 60 gram semi long, and I caught a jack smelt and a greenback. I gave the greenback to Mark, and then I gave the jack smelt to Oscar.
Hey, that's all that matters, right? At least you caught fish for you. At
Yeah.
least it wasn't a total loss of a day.
Yep.
Man, that's crazy. So what yeah, I just I wanted to do the segment just to bring awareness to you guys.
Yeah.
Aaron's been kayaking for so long. He's not a rookie and still went over. And I think one of the important things is when you're going offshore, you really got
Don't
to
go
go out with
alone.
somebody. If Mark G and Oscar weren't there, it could have been a worse situation,
It would have
considering
been
we lost
a lot worse
the
situation.
radio floated away, so we didn't have the radio. Um, yeah, so when you're out in La Jolla and stuff like that, it's you just don't know. We went out for the with the bait drops, and we had a guy that went with us, and he had rolled over too. And luckily, we were in the bay, and we got all of his gear back because we combed it, with A
Oh,
rigs. Leonard did,
was that
and
what all you guys are doing south
yeah,
of?
so
I
he
was
we
trying to
got
figure
him
out
in
what
his
you guys were all
kayak.
doing.
Yeah, then they were able, like Leonard and some other guys were able to like comb the area with. We were just in the bay though, and they were able to get his rods back and his crate, and we got most of his stuff back, I think. And yeah, it happens, so I just wanted you to come on and tell your story, and just a reminder to these guys, you gotta be careful out there, man, especially when it's cold.
Yeah.
I mean, that's scary. I'm
My
glad
wife.
Oscar was there. I'm glad Mark G was there. So thank you guys for taking care of him, getting him in, and
Yeah.
yeah. So what would you do different? What have you changed? I guess what are you going to do differently now, if anything,
My
since that
wife
time?
got me a $25 gift card to Amazon, so I used that and got 8 rod leashes, and I put them on the kayak already.
Awesome. New
So
radio
everything's
yet?
gonna be leashed down.
Or are you going to wait? Yeah. So there you go. And that's something we all kind of do, and then we don't. When we first start, it's leashing everything, and now it's like I'm guilty of it too. Of like I don't have anything hardly tied down. I have my phone, I've got my radio, but like my rods, if I was to roll over, I'd probably lose thousands of dollars worth of gear. It's because I'm the same way. Yeah, I've been out so many times. You think, oh, I'm not going to roll, I'm not going to go over, but just like that, it can happen. And
Yeah.
it's a good reminder, stark reminder to just Mother Nature, man. You can't sleep on the sea because she will eat your ass alive.
Yep.
But I'm
And
glad you're okay.
the one thing
Um,
that I was bummed most about losing was the sunglasses because they were a prescription.
yeah, that too, man.
Now I got to go
Keys,
to Lens Crafters and get new glasses.
truck keys, sunglasses, rods. I mean that doesn't even
Yeah.
account for the near hypothermia and death. That's just all the other stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, thanks for coming on,
No problem.
sharing your story. I mean, just bringing the awareness, and I just glad you're okay, and I'm glad you're willing to share it. You got a great
Yeah.
attitude, and I just don't want to glorify the fact that you rolled over. I just want everybody to know that
The
to be
biggest thing I
safe
can
and be
say
careful,
is,
and that it happens to everybody, and the importance of going out with a group, and it just reminds us, wakes us up. It's the new year coming over. It's still winter, so just be careful, guys. And yeah, man, we'll see you out there again. And
yeah, the biggest
hopefully, if
thing I
we
can
have you on
say,
again, it's not because you rolled your kayak over.
yeah, the biggest thing I can say is somebody loves you, so wear your PFD.
That's right. Yeah. And, but you did a lot of things right, even though we can go over the things that didn't happen. You still had your life jacket on. You went out, you did go out with the group. You still had your life jacket on, and that's why it wasn't as big of a deal as it could have been.
Yes.
Even though I'm sure it was cold and bad, but it was okay because you made a lot of the right steps. So you lost money, but you didn't lose your life.
I can
That's
earn
not
more
the main.
money.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. All right, guys. Big Water Yak. Anywhere you guys want these guys to follow you? What do you got going on? Instagram,
Uh,
YouTube channel?
my Instagram is the same as my name on YouTube, but I got a couple videos up on my YouTube channel too. So you guys want to go check that out? That'd be cool.
Awesome. All right, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right.
Oos.
Thanks.
See you next time.
Oos.
Later. Let's thank Big Water Yak Fishing, everybody. Aaron. I just wanted to bring him on and share him story. I know Mark G, he's in the chat here. He was out with him. Oscar's out in the chat too. So they went out in a three group and got him back to safety. So thank you guys very much. Glad you guys, took care of him. And yeah, always wear that life jacket, guys. Don't take it off. It's that's one of those things that you can't really do in a kayak. And then the radio too. That was a surprising thing to me. I'm surprised he lost the radio, even though it was clipped on, because I usually have mine in too or on the side. But just remind you how fast you can lose it, which is nuts. It just floated away, and I think by the time you realized it was gone, it was gone. So, man, crazy stuff. But he's okay. I mean, that's the main thing. Let's see what we got here. Sorry, guys. I'm just checking up on the chat here. So, you got anybody else?
I put the safety course link in the chat.
Oh, so the safety course link is in the chat. So Jessica put it in there. Awesome. Yo, Chinator, what's going on, man? SD Fisherman, I think we got you already. ZR Built, welcome, guys. Good to see you guys in here. Glad you can join us. Thanks.
Self-rescue? What is self-rescue?
Oh yeah, one of the important things is, guys, learning self-rescue, and that is you can find. I think Roman Castro's got videos on that too, where he does it in the pool. But actually, learning how to get back onto your kayak, that is one of the points I think I wanted to highlight that we didn't really get to. Is I know Mark G's gone out with Salty Dangler's taken him out, and where they went out to the water, and actually this was in the summer. They flipped their kayaks empty, obviously, and then practice getting back on board. So it's an important thing to know. Like, he said Aaron was in there for 30 minutes, was exhausted. By the time he get in, he just rolled, and he probably didn't, hadn't had the practice. I've honestly never done that. I have not flipped my kayak and, try to get back on. I've watched plenty of videos, on how to do it and stuff like that. But a lot of those things are harder. And the longer you're in there, the more tired you get for sure. So that's crazy stuff. We make a self-rescue tool pretty easy too. Makes it easier to get back in. Oh, interesting. I'll look into that, Coach. I know Coast Guard, yeah. And Danny Boy Fishing saying, Danny, welcome, dude. By the way, Coast Guard channel is 16 on your radio. So when you guys get the VHF radio, make sure you have 16 programmed in your mind, because that is the emergency channel. You either Mayday if you need help. But yeah, that's a good call. Remember that number. I almost jumped in the water to cool down on the pickle run. Yeah, I did too, man. I've seen it done. Yeah, people jump into their kayak all the time during the summer when it gets hot. So that's a good way to get it in. Awesome. Puhukai, welcome. Glad to see you come back. Hope you're enjoying the show. Oscar commented, when someone enters hypothermia, especially extreme hypo, slowly warm them up, not super quick, or the person can pass away from super low blood pressure. Interesting. That's good stuff. I wonder why the Coast Guard, or not the Coast Guard, like the lifeguards, dude. What the hell? No blankets, like ladders broken. That seems kind of sketch. I mean, and those tax dollars got to be going somewhere. That's crazy. Yeah, guys. So rolling up on the hour. If you guys want anything else to talk about, you got any more questions? Yeah, we can go over the.
Couple comments for you too, and then I do have the news.
Oh yeah,
one or two.
we got the drawing too that we're gonna get to. So, yeah, I got the one from Oscar. Dave Rage, tight an old dog leash on my yak to handle would make a good stuff if it came into it. Yeah, dude, that's a good idea. I mean, whatever it takes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, 2 out of 5 stars on Yelp for the 100%, man. Like, what? It just, that seems crazy to me. So it just, but it just, it goes to show you can't take your safety and well-being has to be in your own hands, guys. You cannot count on the Coast Guard or the lifeguards to get you out. Sure, they're there and they usually do a great job, but ultimately it's got to be on us to make sure that we're getting taken care of. I think that's pretty important to remember. But yeah,
How many winners? I was thinking 2, 1 hat, 1 sticker.
Jessica wants to do 2 winners for the submission fishing giveaway. If you guys commented on last week's video, we had Captain Bill on from the Malahini. I recommend checking that guys out. We did the dockside chat where I interviewed Captain Bill. He's a boat owner and charter master of the Malahini, so go check that out if you guys haven't. It's an awesome thing. If those of you commented on that channel, we're doing a giveaway. We're giving away a hat and a shirt. We're going to do 2 winners. So if you commented there, you're going to be put in for sure. Check out some of the things I got for Christmas. Berkeley Pro. Dude, this thing's the bomb. It's an actual it's a jig bucket. So it goes into the side of your kayak. It's made for the Hobies. So I'm going to screw this on the side of my kayak tomorrow, but it holds the jigs. So it's got, which I do this anyways. Whenever I take my jigs out, I line them up because I don't put them back in my bag and then I use them. So like the 5 that I'm using, I'm just alternating and putting them on the clip. So jig bucket, check that out. Thought it was pretty awesome. Oh, Marty, you got one of those on your PA? You got the jig bucket or you got the ladder? I got what did you guys get for Christmas too? I'm curious to know what y'all got. I got the new Oakley Kato sunglasses. Look at that. Hell yeah. RoboCop 2.0. These things are badass. Going back to the 80s, they remind me of like the Terminator or something. And I got a new jigging rod. I got a Phoenix rod. I got the Titan. It's not the slow pitch rod. It's actually a long fall rod, which is made by it's a slow pitch, same brand, but it's like long fall and a stick bait rod. Long fall jigging is just another variation of slow pitch jigging. But with slow pitch jigging, you reel as you come up. With the long fall jig, you just lift. You lift and drop. It's a longer rod with more backbone. So it's really good for like bottom fishing. So once you hit the bottom, you just pull up. So you get more pull with each one and it goes down. So when you're not reeling, it's a dip with the rod itself doing all the work. Kind of takes the reel out of the equation, but still made for slow pitch jigs, so I thought it was really cool. I haven't used it yet. Kind of still need a reel for it, but that's what we got. Leonard got nothing. Man, it's a tough break, dude. Next time I see you, I'll give you something. I'll give you a jig. I'll give you a Christmas present. We probably owe you something. Eric got the Eric got the sand bass at the bait barge. I saw that. He put the bow on it. That was funny. Who else got the jig bucket and the ladder for my PA? Damn, everybody got the jig buckets. Here, I thought I was special on that thing. You guys, we must all shop at the same places, that's for sure. Dave Rage got a new PDF, a crate with rod holders, a few new jigs, and oh yeah, Hobie Outback. Damn, Dave, he went all out. He had the real Christmas, dude. Baseball season, Imperial Valley season. Yeah, that's right. Coach don't want to hear none of that baseball talk. All fishing or nothing. That's good stuff. Yeah, guys. So if you didn't know, I went to South Carolina and did some fishing out there. So I'm been currently editing the video. Like I said, I just got home. I've been tired. But I caught my first redfish. Jessica caught some black drum. So we got black drum, redfish. We went out off the South Carolina. We went offshore and we were looking for the big bull reds. And a lot of it is like it's like tuna fishing. We were looking for birds. The birds were diving, the dolphins. It was kind of the same thing. We didn't have much luck, with the big stuff. So we came back inshore and it was pretty badass. Captain had the boat. See if we can get him on the show and do an interview, but weaving in and out. So like the river system, it's like the Saltwater River. And dude, he was moving, turning tight turns. It was a lot of fun, but fishing in the reeds and grass, getting some reds. So it was cool. Got to fish the Atlantic. Got some new species that I hadn't fished before. So hopefully I'll have the video. It'll probably be up next week. And yeah, dude, it was a lot of fun. I like catching new species, for sure. Salty said I got a wallet with my initials and 2 hooks engraved. Nice, dude. That's classy. Jessica, how old was that tree? Which one? The Angel Oak? The Angel Oak.
Between 400 and 500.
Oh yeah, it's like any scientific study, between 400 or 500 or 1,500 years. Like, okay.
But it was pretty cool.
Yeah, redfish, trout, and flounder, some of the funnest fish on earth. Yeah, dude, they were fun. Heck yeah, they would fight for sure. We were catching them on like light spinning reels, so it was fun stuff. Yeah, the Ansel Oak. Yeah, so Dev Rage is fishing Saturday. A lot of guys fishing Saturday. Like I said, I think I'm gonna do Sunday, guys. So if anybody wants to go up to the tournament with me, let me know. If not, I'll just probably one man it and go put the beat down. All right, what do we got? You got the results?
I got the results. First up for a hat.
First up for the hat.
Unless he already has a hat.
Unless you already have a hat. Oh, it must be a returning winner.
I don't think this person has a hat.
Oh, maybe
already.
not.
I don't think this person has anything yet. Are you ready?
We're ready. Give you guys the drum roll. The winner is
Peter86.
Peter86. You won a submission fishing hat. Congratulations, dude. Thanks for commenting on the last video. We just need your address and info at submissionfishing.com. You want to put the link in the chat?
Yeah.
So just email us your address. We'll send you a hat. Congratulations, dude. Glad you got one of those. And then we're gonna give a shirt away too.
Yeah. Here's the shirt.
Submission fishing shirt. Boom. Striving for a black belt in fishing. And the winner is.
I think Aaron was wearing that shirt in the show.
Oh yeah, Aaron was wearing one. That's right, Aaron. We see you, brother. Drum roll. The shirt. Oscar. Congratulations, dude. You deserve it, man. Yeah, that's true. Mark G, you do too, but
no, he did comment.
Oh, Mark G commented, but yeah, we just put it in the random like name generator. So Oscar, again, tell us what size you are. Send us an email and we'll send you a shirt. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for that. That was for the 500 sub giveaway that we did that. It was 2 weeks ago. Eric says it's rigged.
It's not, Eric didn't comment.
We need more transparency. Eric, we don't have three. We don't have 3X shirts anyways.
Oh yeah, we'll get
next time. But yeah, that was for the 500 sub giveaway. I think we got like 571. I think just in the last couple of weeks we picked up another 70 views or subs. So we'll do something else, probably 1,000 subs. That's the goal, guys. Then we can open up a lot of stuff. We can do streaming. I can go out and stream mobilely on like Kayak and stuff like that. We got the community tab, so we're slowly getting there. We're building the community up. But YouTube needs to see so many things, you know. And it's been a great year of fishing. A great year to come. I mean, 2021's coming up. So next show, probably going to get your guys' New Year's fishing resolutions. See what you want to do. You know, I'll come up with the list too. And maybe we'll do a recap of our highlights. So maybe I'll do keep that in mind, guys. Start finding highlights and stuff like that. Things that you remember from last year. And then we'll share it on next show. We'll go through, see what you want to do in chat. I want to know what you guys want to fish for, what you want accomplished. I know a lot of you guys want to get the legal halibut. So we're going to do that. Your highlight that you had last this year, I guess 2021. So your highlight of 2021, and then what you want to shoot for in 2022. I'll come up with my list, and yeah, I got some videos coming up. Should be fun. And also, when can you buy slow pitch jigs from you, Big Water? Yeah, guys. So I'm making jigs.
I mean, hopefully in January.
Hopefully in January,
which is next week.
The shipment is in Long Beach. It is
well, somewhere between Long Beach and Carlsbad.
I don't know. That was like a update as a couple years ago. So you guys don't know I'm developing my own slow pitch jigs. They're pretty badass, and we got a new name for them and everything. Got them branded out. We got some cool hats and stuff for that. And yeah, so once we hit 1,000, we'll do another giveaway, guys. And thank you guys for all the support. And I know we're having trouble finding jigs too, right? Like every time I go into like Major Craft or something like that, they're not on the shelves. You can't order them online, so somebody's got to make them. These are better jigs, and for a lot of my videos, you guys don't know we haven't been bragging them, but I've been catching fish for probably the last couple months. If you guys look close, those are actually the jigs I've been using at like the bait barge, and even when we went out to like Mission Bay, and a lot of the tuna that I caught on some of those videos are all on the jigs, on our jigs. So they work, man. They're badass, and I'm looking forward to that. So we'll get those into the rotation too. So if you guys want to support the channel, I got gear, obviously. I got scent that I make, you know, stuff like that. But more than anything, it's just glad you guys are here. We're trying to get our black belts in fishing, and more than jigs and products, you know, it's all about the knowledge, guys, and the community. That's what makes us grow. That's how we're going to get the black belts. And for all you guys that have subscribed and liked, I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, and Happy New Year. Stay safe. We'll see you guys out there and see you next Thursday. Oos.
Doug wants me to have a